I'm Dave, and this is my dog, Logan, out on another walk in the New Forest. Thanks for joining us. Today we're going to be doing a 4.5 mile circular route from a place called Crockford Clump, which is slightly to the east of Lymington and to the southwest of Bewley. And we're going to take in the little village of East End and Norleywood. We're going to have a bit of a trip over some heathland. We're going to go into some woodland and hopefully come across some interesting things along the way. I'm filming right at the beginning of February. It's about 7 degrees. It's calm, dry, the sun's out. It's a terrific day for going out for a walk. And I'll just show you behind, already joined by some New Forest ponies happily munching away on the gorse. Well, we can't stand here all day. We've got some walking to do. Let's go. Well, just to get our bearings, over in the very, very far distance there, that clump of trees, that is Crockford Clump, where we park the car at the Forestry Commission car park. And we've made our way across this lovely heathland. And if I just pan around so you can get a decent view. Over in the far distance there, that's Norley Wood, which we'll be coming through on our return journey on the walk. And then panning around, lovely peaceful scene. Well, the cars in the background, that's the B3054, which goes from Bewley to Lymington. And then now just in front of me, I think you can just about make out, there's a looks like a little ditch and a bank. Now if you look on a Google map from above, it'll be more obvious. There are a couple of these banks around here, and it's evidence of a very old medieval boundary, possibly some sort of field system for livestock. Could have been sheep many years ago. And then just over in the far distance there's a little copse called Shipton Holmes, and it's fenced in. Actually, there's a lot of holly trees, and I believe they're doing some sort of project for holly rejuvenation. Anyway, we'll kick on. It really is quite glorious. I said at the beginning, we're filming in February. We haven't really had a very cold winter yet. We've had a wet winter, but not a cold one. So we're making the best use of this lovely weather at the moment. No doubt there'll be a sting in the tail to come in March. We're still making our way going eastbound in a little valley called Horsebush Bottom. I said there'd been a lot of rain recently. Now this is normally a tiny little stream, and Logan and I have had a bit of fun crossing it, and that actually flows into a more substantial stream called Crockford Stream later on. We're now going to head uphill, up an old sheep track. We've made our way up to the top of a ridge, coming to a place called Hill Inclosure. Just before we come off the open area, let's have one last look at the open heathland. So mainly gorse and heather and bracken grows here. and then just in front of me there's quite a boggy area, and then in the far distance the trees, mixture of oak and beech. And it's quite noticeable how bent some of the branches are here, and you know, often that's just evidence of the very poor soil conditions that you get in this particular area. All right, we need to kick on. Well, just before we start exploring the little village of East End, just come across this lovely pond. Let's have a look. Isn't that beautiful? With the reflections, with no wind as well. And some lilies over in the background. I imagine this must be spectacular in the summer. I believe this is an old clay pit, because there are a couple in the area. Very, 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 very peaceful. Right, let's go and explore East End. Well, just coming off the heath. What a sweet little cottage. I believe it's called Sheepwash Cottage, 18th century. But, so let's have a little wander through East End. It gets its name, basically it's on the easternmost boundary of the borough of Lymington, and there was a bridge that actually crossed the Crockford stream. Now this building here was the well, there was an independent chapel built here in 1808, and then it became a congregational church, then a United Reform church, but now it's just a commercial establishment. Wow, what a quaint little bus stop. When you look at the houses in this village, and then you look at the views that they must have. How about looking out onto that heath every day? Wonderful. And then yes, there's some cattle out there grazing as well. Quite beautiful. We're just heading south of East End now. Come down this really gorgeous long single track. It's called Sowley Copse track, I believe. I think, or Sowley, however you pronounce it. Loads of deer in here. In fact, if I just turn the camera around, just in the far distance, there's a deer high seat. And I will point out something to you. This confused me, because I know a lot of folk do watch these videos and then follow the route and do the walk later. You see there's a post here that seems to indicate that we're on the Solent Way, because yeah, it's marked both sides, but we're definitely not on the Solent Way, I promise you. If you look on the map, we're coming directly south along this track, and we will hit the Solent Way sort of head on. It goes east to west. I thought I'd just point it out. I thought I was lost for a second, which does happen from time to time. Haha. So, just to clarify things, we've come down that track there, Sowley Copse or Sowley Copse track, and we've now hit the Solent Way. And there's the little signpost confirming it. And there's another signpost over there. So the Solent Way is east to west. That definitely is not the Solent Way down there. I shall have to write to the council about this. Now, what have we got here? Is it an alien spaceship? Is it a character from Star Wars buried up to their neck? Or could it be, of course, a pheasant feeder? We're heading north again now, heading towards Norleywood, and we will be going over this little style and following the footpath. But before we do, I noticed about 300 yards up the road there's a very lovely little pub called the East End Arms that was bought in 1990 by John Ilsley, the bass guitarist of Dire Straits. He bought it basically so the local community could still have a pub. So we're going to do a little diversion just to pop in there for research purposes, and we'll see you later on. Oh, that was rather nice. A most acceptable pint of Ringwood Best was served in there. We're now following the line of a field heading north, and I just spotted, I don't know what that is, an owl box, I guess. Not sure. Anyway, so this is a fairly straight route on fields now. I say it's been quite a variety of terrain that we've been on today. We've had heathland. We're now in on the side of some arable fields, and very shortly we'll be into the middle of some very heavy woodland. We've now finally made it to Norleywood. Beautiful little village full of thatched cottages. And look at this one here, corner cottage. And villages like this grew up in the 17th and 18th centuries when cottages and small paddocks were encroaching onto the forest heaths, and their owners grazed their animals on the heath, and heather would be used for roofing and ferns for cheap bedding. But I can't believe how warm it is now. It's almost spring-like. Look at this little converted telephone box with a village map. And then some cattle snoozing in the sunshine. A little baby as well. We won't disturb them though. Isn't that lovely? Right, we're going to now head off into the Norleywood Enclosure itself, which is beyond those trees. And here we are, just about to go in to the Norley Inclosure. Some warning signs on the outside, forestry work in progress. I believe there is some sort of 5-year plan regarding the forestry work in here. It's been a bit controversial, I believe, with some of the local residents. I'll say no more. I've just come across another pony pound. Obviously not an unusual sight on the forest, but I'll show it to you nonetheless. This looks as though it's been quite recently constructed. Of course, they're used primarily during the New Forest drift, although they can be used at other times of the year, so that ponies can be rounded up and their health can be checked, and they can be wormed and branded and have their reflective collars put on and that sort of thing. You can get different sizes of pounds. This sort of middle of the road, you can get much smaller ones which are designed just for 1 or 2 ponies, and they're called colt pounds, basically for catching colts, obviously. But I think there are about 30 of these pounds dotted around the forest. And the adjusters will also use temporary pounds from time to time, because sometimes the older mares get used to, well, they get an idea of where the locations of some of these pounds are, and will try and avoid them. But They're normally built like this, close to a boundary edge. In fact, if I turn the camera around, you can see the small fencing along there, so I imagine that's where the ponies are rounded up and funneled through to the pound here. Gosh, they really are cutting down a fair few trees in here, and you can see how some of them have been marked up. And when you look at the girths of some of these, I wonder how old some of these trees were. There we go, 2.3. I'm guessing that might be to do with the measurement of them all. Certainly a smell of newly cut wood. And who knows where these will eventually go. Again, there's more down there with the 10.5. Again, that must be the length, I should imagine. Thank you. Well folks, we've come to the end of our walk. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give us a like or thumbs up, and do make a comment and subscribe so you can join us for another walk sometime in the New Forest in the future. We've had a lovely walk. The weather's been absolutely glorious considering it's the beginning of February. We're off now. Thank you for watching, and cheerio.